Yeah, that actually brings up some really interesting points of things that I've been exploring in my belief structure recently. And one of them being is, what if at the core of the evolution of the internet, I call it when the Big Bang happened, it was playing from this concept that the universe is a program, it is a computer to help calculate something. That what if there is this, we experience life subjectively. This is my experience, you're having your experience. But what if there is this core foundation of objective truth that is at the core of what this universe is built on? That starts off as this very compact concept, an idea, that then proliferates and grows and grows and grows and grows till I'm having my subjective experience and you're having your subjective experience, that both come through this objective truth that is at the fundamental core of what the universe is. And I think that this applies some really interesting principles, like in mathematics, like the conjugative property, where it's like a times b equals b times c. So if A is my subjective experience and B is this core objective truth, the more that I can come into understanding of my relationship to the objective truth, the more that I can come into relationship to your subjective experience, because it's communicable through that objective truth. And I think this makes a lot of sense from the people might say more spiritual perspective of trying to understand yourself. The better that you understand yourself, the better that you understand the people around you, and the more you understand your experiences, the better you can empathize and understand other people's experiences as well. And so, in a way, I kind of see all of these things coming together.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the diversification of words that happens in science, for example, happens specifically because the precise circumstances that are being observed begin to reveal subtle details, or whatever the data collection mechanism is starts to yield information that looks a certain way, and they need a new word to be able to say what it is, because it isn't just the same thing as what you experience in another place. There may be some fractal similarity or something between events at different scales, or whatever it is, different types of things. It's the same, but it's a little bit different, and so that self similarity means that it organizes itself into a hierarchical pattern of connected forms and connected ideas that things are bonded together with. But if you have a specific word that you can use to isolate the individual entities, or to sort of consolidate them into an isolated unity, you can say something that's very direct and very specific about something. Now, it isn't like you want to always be using very direct and specific words if you're not communicating with somebody that can relate to them, obviously. Maybe there's a place for teaching in there somewhere, but there's also just there's a learning curve, and if they're not learning, and if you're just trying to like browbeat them for not having as big of a vocabulary as you, clearly you need to recalibrate the way that you think about communicating. But I see a sort of I don't know, like a fun gateway into basically like refining and refining and refining and tuning and deepening the subtle intuitive capacity to relate to deeper and deeper structures in the composition of reality, or to get down to that core objective truth. Maybe we can't ever completely arrive at objective truth. I mean, I think like the nature of hypothesis and the nature of framing and the nature of the way it is that perception is always bound up in living circumstances, and you can't get down past this unbreachable gap between yourself and the unblemished truth. But it seems really interesting that many different threads pointing in at it find a kind of a plumb line of truth. They find a plumb line of truth, and the organic way that they do so seems to imply an objective reality deep down there. And it's it's a very inspiring thing to realize that you're on the hunt, that you got a deep thread here, and you're really after something that's gonna yield genuine experience of truth.
And that is all the time we have for The Couch this week. Our guest was Tom, creator of GroupUp.me, and our host was Joshua Morrison. I'm your production manager, Shenanigans, and stay tuned for next week where our podcast discusses virtual worlds.